Well, welcome everyone. I am Suzanne Clausen with CruiseOne, and we want to thank you for coming up, whether you're joining us live or watching our recording. This is our presentation. We're going to be talking about Avalon Waterways and their cruises on the Douro, the Moselle, and the Danube. So this is kind of an agenda for what we're going to be doing tonight. We'll have a little bit of an introduction about our agency, an introduction to Avalon Waterways. We're going to have an overview of our 4 featured itineraries, and then we're going to talk about why Avalon is the best river cruise line and the best way to experience the rivers of Europe and even Asia and Africa. We also, at the very end, we'll have some information on our exclusive promotional pricing for all 4 itineraries and the special offers that we have for people who book within a certain amount of time who attended or watched the recording of our webinar. So first, a little bit about our agency. We've been in business for 11 years. In 2019, I was the recipient of our franchise headquarters Opal Award, which is for community involvement and sales leadership. I used 2020 and 2021, which was a little bit of downtime, to earn my Master Cruise Counselor, and I just earned the next level of certification, which is Elite Cruise Counselor at the Cruise 360, which took place 2 weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale. In 2023, I am in the top 2% of all CruiseOne and Dream Vacation franchises. The reason we've had so much success is because we are focused on our clients. It is all about you and giving you the exceptional customer service when it comes to your cruise and vacation planning. I myself have been cruising for over 40 years. I love sharing the wonderful vacation experience with others. My very first cruise was a 3-day Bahama in 1975 when I was just 8 years old. And my dad was in sales. If he had a good year, he'd take the whole family on a cruise, and we absolutely loved it. Well, what I love more than anything are my group cruises. These are some pictures from our Antarctica cruise in Buenos Aires, the one where everybody looks silly. I said, okay, we're gonna do a silly picture. So everybody was having fun. We'd been wine tasting for about an hour before that picture was taken. And of course, I've done some groups on river cruises as well. And I love going with my groups and sharing the experience and being a part of making sure that their experience is an exceptional one. Working with our agency, it's really all about you. You've got an insider on your behalf who is going to advocate for you with the cruise lines. I have connections. I deal with the cruise lines every day of my life. I have people that are dedicated to me as points of contact to help me resolve issues for all my clients. And I also provide expert planning assistance. I have traveled a lot. I've been on a lot of cruises, and that gives me kind of an level of expert knowledge that when I'm helping you plan, I will think of things and help keep you from falling into some of the pitfalls that inexperienced cruisers make. One size obviously doesn't fit all. So whether your budget is for Carnival or for Regent or something in between, I have cruise lines that I work with that'll meet your budget and your style. And we have a low price guarantee. You will never, ever, ever get a lower price booking directly with the cruise line than you will going through a travel agent. The commission that we receive is built into the price, whether you use a travel professional or not. There's no reason not to use us, because if you don't, you're paying for something that you're not getting. You're paying for the services of a travel professional, and you're just a transaction booking online. So again, you will never pay more booking through me than you will directly with the cruise lines. And quite often, I will even be able to save you a little bit of money. And finally, I am easy to access. I do the hold time. I hold for an hour with the cruise line to get your answer. I will either answer my phone nearly 24/7, and if you get my voicemail, I'll return your call the same day. Moving on to the next slide. It's stuck. Give me just a second. There we go. I am an Avalon Waterways certified expert travel agent, and I also have the certification for their sister brands of Globus and Cosmos. Quality partners means a quality experience for my clients. We provide personalized vacation planning for you to make sure that every aspect of your vacation is well thought out and suited just for you. Avalon Waterways just won the USA Today Award for the best river cruise line in Europe. And working with these high quality partners ensures that my clients who book these experiences are going to have very, very meaningful experiences. Some of the inclusions in Avalon. So sometimes people kind of look at the price of a river cruise and it can be a little intimidating. It is more expensive than, say, a typical ocean cruise, but it is more of a luxury experience. Of course, you get your 3 meals a day included. You get beer and regional, this is with Avalon, this is important, regional wine and international wine complimentary with lunch and dinner. I think you can even get a mimosa with breakfast if you want it. And you get a choice of tours included in most every port. Some other river cruise lines have one set tour that everybody does. And with Avalon, you have a choice, and it's with smaller groups. They have a daily happy hour. So about an hour before dinner, they open the bar and it is complimentary. That started in 2023. The other thing, and you saw the picture of when we first logged into the presentation of the standard panoramic suite that is the standard cabin on every single one of their ships. It is absolutely wonderful 200 square foot room with a 7-foot open air balcony. Of course, you get daily housekeeping. You get the services of a professional tour and cruise manager through your entire process. So anytime you want to ask something about any of the ports that you're going into, or want to ask what we can do in our free time, that cruise director is going to be there to help you with all your questions and help guide you along the river. Now, in each port, you will have a tour that is led by a local expert. So that's wonderful because you really get some insights into what the actual city that you're visiting, the history, and they're all expert certified tour guides. Very, very good tours when you're with them. Now, actor Graham McTavish is the spokesperson for Avalon Waterways, and you may have seen his commercials. So I'm going to show you his the little video, and it gives you a nice introduction to Avalon Waterways. Oops, hang on, let me go back. Gotta click play.
There may be comfort in the usual, but true discovery and remarkable experiences are the rewards for the curious. They are the gifts that reside beyond the ordinary. Welcome aboard Avalon. Smaller ships, bigger experiences, fewer people, more of everything, right at your fingertips. And you wake up in the best staterooms in the business, to a new port every day, right in the heart of great cities, with nothing but possibilities ahead. Driven by out-of-the-box thinking and a relentless pursuit of better, Avalon heard the siren song to elevate cruising, and they have. So if you believe that life is worth living, not looking, memories are worth making, that better stories need better settings, and that we could all use a little different, you're ready for an Avalon cruise. Cruising Elevated.
Graham McTavish looks familiar to you. He's had major roles in the movies The Hobbit. He had a major role in the series Outlander, and he also has a major part in House of Dragon, which is running on HBO. He's also an author, and he has authored several books. They're called Clanlands. One is Tales of Scotland, when he was making the television series Outlander. And the other one is Tales from New Zealand, which he wrote while he was filming The Hobbit. And he also has an almanac that's a collection of Scottish stories. And he's going to be hosting an 8-night river cruise from Basel to Amsterdam, where he will serve as the author, host, and residence for their storyteller series. And that's on October 12th. I just wanted to mention that because he is their spokesperson. You see him on their commercials. And if you are a fan of Graham McTavish, you can actually go on a river cruise with him. So we're going to dive right in to the destination. We'll get back to some of the details about Avalon pretty soon, but we're going to go with our first river cruise that we're featuring, and that is on the Douro. The ship is a brand new ship. It's the Avalon Alegria. It only holds 120 passengers, and it's going to be a spectacular cruise. The one that we are hosting is on June 12th through the 19th of 2024. It is a Douro River cruise round trip from Porto, but you can add, and we have included this in what we're doing as part of the host. There's a 3-day pre-cruise extension that includes Lisbon, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Again, we will be on board for that June 12th sailing as your host, your travel agent host. This is Avalon's first year in the Douro because it's a brand new ship. However, the parent company Globus has been doing tours for 95 years that have included Spain and Portugal. This is an area where you are going to see some of the most beautiful art and architecture in all of Europe. And of course, the wine is a big part. The Douro River is the chief wine growing region of Portugal. And if you're familiar, the wines that most people are familiar with are the Porto wines, which are very sweet, fortified dessert wines. However, there's about 50% of the production that is table wines. They're dry reds and white wines and very unique to this area. So whether you like the port or you like the drier table wines, there's something for everybody. So the tour, if you do the three-day extension, is going to start in Lisbon. And I just have some quick pictures. You have an arrival day, you get some free time, you get a guided tour. The second day, there's also another guided tour that's included. And then on day 4, you will transfer to the ship, but you will stop in Coimbra, which is the home of the historic university. And at one time, it was the capital of Portugal. For those people who are doing cruise only, you will embark in Porto, Portugal. And then from then on, all the guests are doing the same thing. There's a lot of different tours. And remember, I talked about, I'll go into a little more detail about this, but about how Avalon has a choice of excursions. So you can choose to do the classic excursion, or you can choose to do a discovery excursion. A discovery excursion is usually more learning, more experiential, and the classic one is going to be the main highlights of the destination, where you're seeing, the historic parts of the city, learning about the destination, whereas discovery, you're going a little bit more in depth in one particular thing. These are slides, just some of the things you'll see in each of these cities during the river cruise. The next day, you will travel, and this is another thing about the Douro, because it's such a small, narrow river. All of the river ships will travel during the daytime. So you will never miss any of the beautiful scenery. As soon as the sun comes up, the ship takes off and goes down to the next destination, and the ship will dock overnight someplace along the river. So lots of times these are quaint little villages. You might want to get out and walk around the town at night. Lots of different ways to experience a river cruise. This is an example, again, of the classic and discovery excursions. And then you also get free time. There are some optional tours that you can book as well. Again, this is one of the discovery ones where you have a chance to do wine tasting and olive oil. The classic one is going to be architectural, but almost all of the tours in the Douro, if you are a wine lover, do include some sort of tasting opportunity, whether it be food or wine or both together. On the next day, day 4, and I have really hard time pronouncing the Portuguese. I know Spanish, so if I was going to say this in Spanish, I would say Pocinho, but Portuguese is pronounced differently. So I need to brush up on my Portuguese. But again, you can see with the different types of excursions, there's something to suit every interest. If you have an interest in ancient history, there's a lot of prehistoric rock paintings in this area, And they have a whole museum where you can go and see all these different rock paintings that they have. Also wine tasting opportunities. There's a chance to go visit a farm village. And this particular area produces 100 different grape varietals. So again, getting a chance to experience really the heart of the destination, the food, the wine all together is really what makes a river cruise so unique, is that you spend a lot of time in the destination and you really, really get that authentic experience. On day 5, we are going to be all the way in Spain. So they are right up to the border of Spain. So you take a tour to Salamanca, Spain, and there's also an alternative one that stays in Portugal. But I think I would want to go to Salamanca. The architecture there is just absolutely beautiful. It's known for its squares and its artwork. But the other one is to visit the Douro International Natural Park. And there's a little village in there. There's, again, incredible architecture and history in every single one of these ports. Then you head back down the river. So this cruise is an up and back cruise with different stops each way. So you stop at Caldas de Arregos, and then you can take an excursion to Amarante, which is a larger, more historic city. And note that your evenings are free to explore the towns on your own in this particular stop. Amarante is known for its mountains, its gorgeous riverfront houses, and again, that architecture. There's so much rich history of architecture in Portugal. Day 7, you are back in Porto, and this is where you get a guided sightseeing tour of Porto. But if you wanted to do one of the active excursions, there's a chance to take out one of the bike rides, and you actually go out to the Atlantic coast. Just an example of some of the things that you'll see in the big city of Porto. And then after that overnight in Porto, your cruise ends, and you would disembark and fly home from Porto. Here's a look at the ship that we're going to be going on for port. This is the Avalon Alegria. It is a brand new ship. That's why I only have renderings. I don't have any real pictures of the ship. It will be debuting in March of 2024. Now, because it only holds 120 guests, and this is a very popular itinerary, on our date, we have one of the suite cabins left. That's what you saw in the picture with the panoramic balcony that opens up. And then we have one of the lower level cabins, which is nearly identical, but it has a fixed window that is kind of up at chin level. Those are very limited availability too. That is for our June 12th date. This cruise departs weekly all through 2024. So if our June 12th date doesn't work for you, because we won't be there as hosts, but we can book the same cruise, and I will make sure that I get you the best price possible. And remember, this price includes all your excursions, all your food, happy hour, drinks with meals, and drinks with meals. And then the other thing that it includes is with our group promotion, it also includes free prepaid gratuities for the dining and hospitality staff on board the ship. All right, so do we have any questions about Douro? And if not, or we can talk at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Moselle Valley if we're ready to go. All right, moving on to the Moselle. So this cruise we are hosting in the fall of 2024. Again, we're going to be back going with you. We're calling it Castles, Vineyards, and Brews. It actually is classified as what Avalon calls an active and discovery cruise. And I don't like to have that active so far up front, because I think it could scare people away if they are more senior people. However, would I book my 83-year-old mom on this cruise? Absolutely, because it is there's the classic excursions are included too. So the active excursions are just like an additional option to do. So you don't have to be, a person who jogs 5 miles a day to do an active cruise. They just have more options for you. The cruise actually starts in Rimmick, Luxembourg, which is just like 14 kilometers from Luxembourg City. So that's where you would fly into, is Luxembourg City. Here's an example of so you arrive in Rimmick, day 1, you check in. Day 2, so you do stay overnight in Rimmick. So day 2, they offer tours. So you can take a tour back to Luxembourg City and tour around there. There's an option to hike the vineyards in the area. You can take an excursion to Schengen, which is famous for being the place where they negotiated kind of the Euro treaty that unified Europe into like one. They call it the Schengen area. It's where you don't need passports to go from one country to another, and you don't need like work visas to work from one country to another. And then we will leave in the afternoon and arrive in Trier, and we'll have an evening walking tour in Trier, Germany. There's lots of history in this area. There's Roman ruins in both Luxembourg City and in Trier, Germany. As a matter of fact, Trier is the oldest continuously inhabited city in Germany. From there, we will sail down the river and go to the beautiful Burgkastel Kues port. And this is a wonderful wine growing region and also has just an amazing castle. The castle is in ruins, but if you want to do the active excursion, you can hike up to it. My husband and I would say we are not really into fitness, and we did something similar in Dürnstein, Austria, and you'll see pictures of that shortly. There's also this wonderful half-timbered architecture, which I love in the area. From Burgkastel Kues, we will go to Kochim, or Kochim. I think it's pronounced Kochim. Again, my German's not real good either. So you can either do a guided walking tour. The Reichsburg Castle, which is what you see up on this hill right here, is a famous and it's beautifully restored castle. There's also a bike tour for those people who are super active. And one of the things my husband and I are going to have to go check out is there is a Klassen hotel in Kochim. And we've got to go see, maybe one of our distant relatives or ancestors, somebody owns that hotel, because they spell it exactly the way we spell our Klassen. The Reichsburg Castle is, again, I mentioned that it is beautifully restored. It's not in ruins. It's owned and administered by the town, and really the top tourist attraction there in town. When we will get a guided tour of the castle. And again, get to see all the beautiful woodwork and art within that castle. Next, the cruise goes to Koblenz. And in Koblenz, you can take a guided walking tour. There's also a beer tour, and there's also a hike in the vineyards. Koblenz has a really rich history of winemaking. Their wine goes all the way back to when the Romans came there and planted some of the first vines along the river. And of course, the hillsides of the river take advantage of the warmth and the cooling of the river. And then the sunlight is always going to be the grapes are always grown on the side of the river that faces the sun, because they do need that sunlight to ripen. Day 6, we go to Rüdersheim, and there's a choice again of excursions there. There is a mechanical musical instrument museum. And this was founded by a man named Siegfried, who visited a player piano museum in Los Angeles and said, why don't we have something like this in Germany? So he started collecting all of these mechanical musical instruments, and he has them on display. The tour of that museum is included. There's also a chance to ride these cable cars through the vineyards and do some wine tasting in the vineyards of Rüdersheim. The cruise ends in Frankfurt. It's the financial hub of Germany, and really a contrast of old and new. Most of Frankfurt was destroyed during World War II, and they painstakingly restored all the classic buildings in the town. You can also take a walking tour of the botanical gardens. There's also a optional tour. It goes to Bad Neuheim, which is a place where they have salt springs and salt baths. And it was once home to Elvis Presley. They have an Elvis Presley monument. And it was where General Patton lived right before he was killed in his car accident. Day 8, the cruise disembarks in Frankfurt, and then you can fly home from Frankfurt Airport, which is nice because it's a major city. There's a lot of direct flights to the US from Frankfurt. You might not even have to make a connection depending on where you are, where your home airport is. So give you an idea of the pricing on the Moselle River cruise. This is price per person based on double occupancy. And these are the P, the A, and the B are all the panoramic suites, like we'll learn about later. And then the D and the E are the lower level cabins with the fixed window. There's also an option if you want to extend your trip and fly into Paris. You can do 2 nights in Paris for $9.49 a person. Now let's talk about the Danube. In 2021 and 2022, we did both an upper Danube in 21 and a lower Danube in 2022. And the experience was so spectacular. We're like, we have to put together a group and share this with our clients so they can know about this experience and how wonderful it is. So our first one that we've put together as a group with the discount pricing and the free prepaid gratuities is the Danube Dreams. And this is Budapest to Dagendorf. And you can kind of get an idea of where it goes on that cruise. It starts in Budapest. Budapest is actually ranked the top tourist city in Hungary, or excuse me, in all of Europe. It is so welcoming. There's so much to do there that that people have voted it the best place to visit in Europe. This is a picture of the beautiful marketplace, and you can see you can get 500 different kinds of paprika when you're there. And also they have a lot of regional wines, and they even have something that's kind of like grappa. It is, I don't know, to me, everybody drinks it in Eastern Europe. It's sort of this really strong liqueur. And to me, it tastes like turpentine, but I drank it because that's the thing. What's it called, Steve? Rakia, isn't it Rakia? Rakia, yeah. There's so much to do in Budapest that if your cruise starts or ends there, I highly recommend that you stay a couple of days extra. There is a half-day tour that's included, but it really only touches the tip of the iceberg of what you can do in Budapest. This is the beautiful St. Stephen's Cathedral that is downtown. We spent 1 extra day there. I wish we had come for more. This is the city's divided into the Buda and the Pest. One side is the hillside, one side is the flat side. Again, the historic marketplaces. There are all kinds of beautiful monuments and areas, like you can go up to this monument that's here and basically see the entire city. When you sail in and out of Budapest, you pass by this beautiful Parliament building. It is definitely one of the highlights of Budapest. So we arrived in Budapest, we stayed 1 night in a hotel. Then the next day we boarded the cruise ship, but the cruise ship also overnighted in Budapest. So our second day was when we got our half-day highlights tour. It was a bus tour. It took us to the hill that is right across from the Parliament building. We got to take pictures there. And then you have some time to explore on your own. There were some other people that wanted to see specific historic buildings or museums there. And they were able to say, okay, can you just drop us off here and on the way back to the cruise ship? And then they explored on their own and made their way back to the cruise ship. And we sailed that afternoon. It was a beautiful sail away from Budapest. Depending on the time of year, you might even sail away at night, and that Parliament building's all lit up. This is Bratislava, Slovakia. Wasn't sure what to expect with Bratislava, but it turns out it is a imperial city from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It is a town filled with all kinds of different art, and it has everything from this little humorous worker. They said this was designed in the 60s when women were wearing miniskirts. And there's also this statue of St. George in one of the castles, and they have an art walk, and this is a poet or an artist. I'm trying to remember who this is. Anyway, there was just artwork everywhere, and history, and beautiful buildings and churches and everything in Bratislava. So definitely a lovely place to stop and spend your day. Next, the cruise goes to Vienna. Of course, Vienna is the city of music. I mean, we all know about music, and you can book a ticket to an optional concert when the cruise stops in Vienna. The ship leaves late in the evening, so it gives time for people who want to go to that music concert to come back to the ship. And then once they return from that excursion, this ship heads on to the next destination. We enjoyed the guided tour of downtown. We saw several different churches. Again, all these beautiful statues, sculptures. It is truly a lovely, lovely city. In our afternoon, we went to the amusement park and bought tickets to do the boxcar Ferris wheel. And that was amazing. You can see this is one of the pictures I took from that Ferris wheel. You can see the new downtown area there. And then also you can see the old historic part of town as well. We headed down the river, and the next stop was in Dürnstein, Austria. Remember, I talked about we hiked up to the castle. So you can see the castle, this ruined castle is up on the hill. And we're actually standing right in front of that castle on that little wall that you see here to take this picture. It was a little bit, I mean, it was a little bit of a hike, but it, you know, like I say, my husband and I are not really super fit people, and we made it just fine. This city of Dürnstein has this wonderful history of this castle being where Richard the Lionhearted was imprisoned. And there's a legend of his minstrel who would go from castle to castle looking for him, and he would sing the first verse of the song to a prison and a fortress, and then he would listen to see if the king would sing back the second part of the song. So that's very much incorporated into the folklore of Dürnstein. In that same day, you get back on the ship, sail past Dürnstein, and keep going through this beautiful scenic area. There's all kinds of vineyards, beautiful scenery, lots of different little churches along the way. Your cruise manager will narrate that drive and tell you about the different steeples on the church and how to tell the difference between the Lutheran churches and the Catholic churches. And it was a beautiful drive. Then the ship pulls over at the Melk Abbey, and you got a complimentary tour. And if you do this, you will not want to miss the Melk Abbey. Now, they do not let you take pictures in the Melk Abbey, but you can buy postcards. And this is the library, which is one of the most famous rooms. It is an incredibly beautiful library at that abbey. And this is a look at the ceiling in that abbey, and then some of the just absolutely magnificent paintings that they have in the church and in the building part. This is, of course, is the Empress Maria Theresa. And this is in the beautiful chapel there. They have all kinds of masterpieces of art. Definitely something not to be missed. It is an architectural and artistic treasure. Linz, Austria. Now, this is kind of a stopping off point if you want to go see a little bit more of Austria. The city itself has beautiful Baroque architecture, but there's also an optional tour that you can take to Salzburg. So if you're a fan of Sound of Music and you want to see all the places that Maria von Trapp went to in Salzburg, you can do that. If you're more into history and you want to kind of learn more about the Holocaust, you can make a solemn visit to the Mauthausen concentration camp memorial. Some of the people in our group did that, and they said they were very glad they did. They learned so much and really, really got an appreciation of the horrors of the Holocaust when they did that. Or you can explore on your own. We wanted just a day to kind of just not have a lot on our agenda. So we just walked around Linz on our own, and it was really beautiful. There was a castle you could hike up to with a big view of the river. Very, very lovely town. Next, and our last stop on the cruise was Passau, Germany. And Passau is a city of 3 rivers. There's actually 3 different rivers that feed into Passau. They have, we got a nice guided walking tour there. Our guide was very very thorough, and she knew all about it. And I don't have a picture of it, but we actually visited a Rococo, uh, uh, what is it? It's a cathedral, and it has one of the largest pipe organs in the world. And it was amazing to see. It was built in all over different kind of places in the church. It's all built into the walls. You really don't see it, but they say when you hear it played, it's just absolutely amazing. In the afternoon, you can enjoy a hike up to this castle. It's hosted by your activities host. Very, very beautiful. And then you have a lovely view of the city once you get up there. So again, that's a case where you can do more than one excursion in a day, because you'll do the walking tour of the town in the morning, and then you can go hike up to the castle in the afternoon. That particular cruise disembarks in Dagendorf, and Munich is the closest airport. It's about an hour away. You can book your transfer through Avalon Waterways. And if you want to keep your cruise going a little bit more, you can take the 2-night extension to Prague and then fly home from Prague. And Prague is definitely one of those cities that's also worth checking out for a couple of days. The Danube Dreams itinerary, again, here's a look at the pricing for that. It's on the Avalon View. It goes Budapest to Dagendorf. There are some reverse versions of this itinerary. So you would start in Dagendorf, or you do your 2 nights in Prague, and then take the river cruise and end up in Budapest. And now we'll go on to the lower Danube. This is the cruise we did in 2022. Again, I've tried to incorporate as many of my own photos into this. I wasn't sure what to expect in Eastern Europe, and I was so amazed and pleasantly surprised. It was one of the most amazing cruises I've ever been to. It literally is 8,000 years of human history, from the Stone Age through the communist era, through the communist emergence, post-communist emergence that all of these countries are going through. It's the Lower Danube cruise, starts in Belgrade. This is a picture we took in Belgrade as we were sailing away. Very, very beautiful city. Bel means beautiful. Here's a look at their 20th century cathedral. Now, the construction was started on this cathedral in the early 20th century, and then the wars and the communists took over, and they didn't let them progress on the building of the cathedral. When they overthrew the communists, the Serbian Orthodox people said, we're going to build our church. And it is one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever been in my entire life. Absolutely gorgeous Serbian Orthodox church. You also get a chance to visit the Belgrade Fortress. And this picture I have on the left is some ancient Roman ruins that are just covered with a piece of glass right in front of the downtown shopping area, just to kind of show that history, that Belgrade dates all the way back to the Roman times. And I think the fortress does as well. Next day, you sail right up to Gulabak Fortress. There is a little dock kind of right over here. You don't see it in this picture. Get off the ship, you get a guided tour of this amazing fortress, which was beautifully restored, I think about 10 or 15 years ago. And it's quite impressive, quite impressive. Just we really enjoyed walking through it and taking pictures. Then you get back on the ship, sail through part of the Iron Gates Gorge, and you visit this place called Lipinski Vir. I did not realize that there was a permanent civilization in Europe that dates back over 8,000 years. It's older than Mesopotamia. It was a human settlement that was occupied by the same people for over 4,000 years. They were Stone Age. They did not have use of metal. They made stone tools. This is an example of their carving. They were very dependent on the Danube River for their food source. And so a lot of their carvings depict sort of half human, half fish characters. This is one of the intact skeletons that they uncovered. These people were sometimes 6 feet tall and had all of their teeth. These were very healthy people and they had large brains because of the rich amino acids from the sturgeon and the sturgeon roux that they ate. And these are the clay remains of their houses. They would build fires in the clay with, anyway, I could go on and on. It was absolutely fascinating. I did not know that people were living in permanent settlements in Europe 8,000 years ago. After you visit Lipinski Vir, you get back on your ship, you have dinner, and there was a slight delay. So we did not leave in the afternoon. We left in the early evening. The sun had already gone down when we went through the Iron Gates Gorge. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The statue that's very famous, it's the largest stone carved statue in Eastern Europe, was all lit up. We got to go out there and take pictures of it. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. We had a wonderful time sailing through the Iron Gates Gorge. And there is a massive hydroelectric dam on this part of the river. So really, this part of the river is a lake. When they built the dam, the water level went up several feet. You go through this hydroelectric dam and 2 locks to get down to what is more the Danube Delta area. And that sails through Bulgaria and Romania. In Bulgaria, we visited this fortress, which again dates back to the Roman times and medieval times. They used the natural rock formations, and we got to climb up all over this fort and see the rocks. This is in beautiful Belgorod, Bulgaria. The next day, we stopped in, I think it's Vidin, it was a different state, Rus, Bulgaria. But most of the people on our cruise took this full day tour where we went to Arbanasi, where they have one of the oldest Bulgarian Orthodox churches there with all this incredible artwork. And it was during the time of the Ottoman Empire, so they were very restricted as to what they could build as far as a Christian church, because the Ottomans were Turkish Muslims, and they had a lot of restrictions on Christians. But they built this beautiful church, and we got to tour that. And then we also went to this fortress in Veliko Tarnova. Incredible full day tour, included with the price of your cruise again. Our last day, we visited Constanta, Romania. Again, I was actually really excited because in Romania, they use the Latin alphabet. In Bulgaria and Serbia, they use the Cyrillic alphabet. So I could actually sort of read the signs because of my knowledge of Latin and Spanish and a little bit of Italian. I was like, oh, I can. And Romanian is a Romance language. It's based on Latin. There's so much history there again because this was the crossroads of trade on the Black Sea. The Roman Empire was there. The Greek Empire. We got to go see this mosaic that was sort of the marketplace in downtown Constanta, Romania. They also are beautifully restoring the what's called the casino building. Even our tour guide wasn't exactly sure, was it going to be a casino? Was it going to be a shopping mall? Was it going to be an event venue? They didn't quite know exactly what it's going to be, but probably if you go in 2024, this might be finished. So we'll have to see how they progress on it. We took the 3-day extension to Bucharest. And there you will see the largest public building in the world, which was built during the Ceausescu communist era. And that was the government, basically the government administration building. There's so many quaint little streets and restaurants. We had some amazing food. So even if you don't take the Transylvania extension, you do on this cruise, spend the night in Bucharest and fly back from Bucharest. We went to Transylvania, and I love this picture of Steve. This is the Bron Castle, which was the inspiration for the Dracula novels. We got a tour in the evening, and there you can see Vlad the Impaler is scaring us, and my friend Mandy and I are wearing our vampire tees. We were kind of being silly, but then we went to a wonderful dinner at the restaurant that's right on the castle property. That is located just outside Brasov. Brasov is where you actually stay when you do the Transylvania city. And again, part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This is a beautiful imperial city. Just, I was thinking everything in Transylvania was going to be these little villages, medieval villages with a castle. And there is that, but not these beautiful imperial cities. Speaking of imperial, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they built this beautiful Pelish castle in one of the cities, Sania, that is just maybe about an hour and a half from Brasov. So we got to go there in the morning, take a full tour. Oh, there must have been 50 different rooms that we got to see, and each one was more beautiful than the other. They actually had a sunroof. This is a stained glass roof so that light could come into this large reception hall, during the day and light up the beautiful castle. More of a palace than a castle. So here's a recap of that itinerary. It starts in Belgrade, and then you go along the river to the Gulabak Fortress, go through the Iron Gates. Weiden is where you visit Belogradchik. Then you head down to Rus, where it's where you visit Armanasi and Valinka Tarnova. And then the cruise actually stops on the river. There is a canal that goes to Constanta, but they wanted to give you more time in Constanta. And by getting there by bus, it's actually quicker than the river cruise sails. So they'll stop on the river and then bus you into Constanta, where you get to spend a little bit more time than we did. We had to take the canal back and get caught up to get to our exit point to go to Bucharest. Now I get to show you why Avalon is the way to cruise rivers in Europe. We all know the biggest brand. They advertise on TV. We probably all get a brochure from them, but biggest does not mean best. And we're going to talk about what the differences are between the cruise lines. So from the outside, kind of all of the ships look the same, but there are distinct differences between the ships and the different cruise lines. They look the same because they all have to fit under the same bridges and through the same locks. But next, we're going to watch a little video that kind of shows us the difference with the sweet ships of Avalon.
The sweet ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising no matter who you cruise with, but there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens, wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now, let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall, not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space, push the window out, add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults, combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila, you have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
So let's compare, just to look at the typical leading competitors' balcony cabin and the Avalon Waterways balcony cabin. 200 square feet versus 150 for the French balcony. Look how tiny the bathroom is on both of these, or the outside balcony. So really it is a better use of space. We absolutely loved it. I got the same comments from everyone who was on our cruises that we've done in the last 2 years. There's an example of one of the panoramic balcony suites. That full-size bath, oh my gosh, that makes a big difference. Steve's a big guy. He said it was one of the best showers he's ever been in on a cruise ship. And then this is the Alegria. This is an example of one of the lower level cabins that has the fixed window. On the Alegria, the bed is going to face the window. On some of the other ones that are already cruising in Europe, the bed does face the wall. But you can look out that window and you get natural light in your room. This is great for those who are on a tighter budget, or maybe someone who's cruising solo and doesn't want to spring for that big panorama suite. Even if you don't have the panoramic suite, there are plenty of areas where you can enjoy the river outside of your room. On the back of every ship, now on some cruise lines, these rooms on the back of the ship are the large grand suites. So they're not accessible to everyone, just the 2 people that have booked those suites. This area actually has panoramic windows that face the back. There is a smoking area just outside of this area, you know, where it's on the very back of the ship. You go outside, the door's shut, and people, you know, can smoke out there, and it doesn't go anywhere on the ship. Very, very nice area. And when you're inside, even if people are smoking, you know, you can still see the river from the inside. So it's very nice. In the front of the ship, they have this wonderful panorama lounge. Again, panoramic views of the whole river. There is also an outdoor lounge that's right in front of this. That is a non-smoking lounge. Again, the smoking area is on the back so that the smoke doesn't bother anyone who's not smoking. There is a wonderful dining room. This is where you get your main dining. You get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have afternoon snacks in the panoramic bistro, and they also have a gym. And there's my husband faithfully working out at the gym. Again, we talked about the Avalon difference with the classic and the discovery and the active tours. Just going to give you a quick example in Budapest, the classic tour. So, you know, here we are at the Pest side, looking over the river, beautiful, beautiful highlights of the city. We did a discovery tour, which was a wine tasting in the countryside. So again, more of an experience rather than just sightseeing. And then an active one, this is the example of when we hiked up to the Dürnstein Castle. You have lots of choices with dining. You can eat dinner from the same main dining room menu in the Panorama Bistro if you want something a little more relaxed. You can get room service. They also have something that's called Avalon Fresh. Avalon Fresh means that they are sourcing the freshest local healthy ingredients in your food. And and they also incorporate the regional specialties of the area you're visiting. And I have another slide for that. So look, when we were in Vienna, of course, we had Wiener Schnitzel. They had this wonderful savory pumpkin strudel, which was one of the vegetarian items. And these cabbage rolls were also a vegetarian item. But that's not to say that they don't have plenty of meat. This was our Bavarian lunch when we arrived in Passau. Again, all the things you would associate with Bavaria, the sausages. They had wonderful, huge pretzels that they were serving. And they have different choices for everybody. So no matter what your diet, if you're on a specialty diet, they will accommodate that. The only thing they can't really accommodate is kosher, because they don't have a kosher kitchen on board. And starting in 2023, they're going to have that complimentary happy hour, beer, wine, and the drink of the day, complimentary for all the guests. So we're wrapping it up, and I've got just 2 minutes more to wrap it up to meet our hour. We'd love for you to join us on the Douro on our escorted cruise, but if those dates don't work for you, they are sailing weekly starting in March of 2024 on the Douro. Again, here's the pricing. This is price per person based on double occupancy. The only thing that this really doesn't include, it includes your gratuities, your meals, your tours. Only thing it doesn't include is your flights over to Europe. So you do need to figure that in as well. If you would like to join us in the fall of 2024 for our Castles, Vineyards, and Brews cruise, we'd love to have you on that. Again, lots of different tour options, including the classic options, as well as the active and discovery. That's our 7-night. You can add the 2 nights in Paris. Again, here's the pricing based on double occupancy per person. And again, you can see that lovely itinerary there. And then if you wanted to choose one of the Danube ones, now these are, we're not escorting these, but you know, you're going to have a wonderful experience, meet new people, have the wonderful services of the cruise manager to help guide you through it. And since we've been there, I can give you a little inside pointers. Again, here's the pricing for that one, the 7-night Budapest to Dagendorf. There are several departures of this in other dates and in the other direction. And then if you liked those pictures you saw from Serbia to the Black Sea and that wonderful 8,000 years of human history, again, here's the pricing for that. We do have one date. The date that we have featured here is going to feature on both of these Danube ones. We'll feature the free prepaid gratuities as well as our offers. If you book a different date, the gratuities will not be included necessarily. On October 17th, I just want to mention this. Audrey has signed up for this. October 17th, we are doing Burgundy and Provence for wine lovers. We are mostly sold out on this. We've sold 19 cabins on this. The panoramic suites are all sold out. We do have a few of the lower level ones. They don't have those that panoramic open air balcony, but the pricing reflects that. So if you're on a budget or you still want to like join us for this, we can fit you in. It's just going to be in one of those lower level cabins. Where does Avalon go? These are all the rivers that they sail in Europe. Oops. All over Europe. They even also do the Peruvian Amazon, the Nile, and the Mekong rivers. You can book your air through Avalon. It is available for booking 11 months before your cruise. It requires an additional deposit of $300 per person, and then you pay the rest of the air with your final payment. We also do ocean cruises, so I just want to throw in some of these. We have several with Celebrity in 2023, 24, and 2025. So if some of these are on your radar, give me a call. I can give you a price quote for these as well. And now our special offer. So if you book your next Avalon Waterways cruise with us by May 22nd, you will receive an extra $50 per person discount on any new Avalon Waterways booking. That's just for attending this virtual event. I will get you booked, and then we'll get the coupon applied for that. We also have a Refer a Friend program for Avalon Waterways. It is a $50 onboard credit for the referrer and the referee. The only requirement is that the referee must be new either to Avalon or to my CruiseOne agency. And the person that you refer to us does not have to be booked on the same cruise. So if you're joining us for the Moselle and you have some friends that want to do the Douro, you would each give $50 onboard credit if you both book. So any questions? I want to open it up to questions.
Remember, you're muted, so if you want to ask a question, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Hi, Suzanne. This is Shekinah. Thank you so much for this overview. This was fantastic.
Oh, great, great, great. Well, I appreciate that. So,
So I'm looking to cruise again with my friends Gladys and Tina. You booked a wonderful cruise for us to Alaska a few years ago. We were planning on doing a river cruise as our next trip together. Then the pandemic happened and all that happened with the pandemic. So we're looking to get back on track with our traveling. And I see here, it looks like the max occupancy for each room is 2 people, correct?
yes, yes. All of the rooms are just double occupancy.
Okay.
There are some sailings that have a no single supplement offer,
Mhm.
and that might be something. So we could put one of you in in a cabin that, we could, in a cabin by themselves,
Right.
and then the other two, sharing a cabin. And maybe you could work it out where you split it 3 ways, for the 2 cabins. So
Okay.
that's an option. And the most affordable ones for people who are traveling by themselves are going to be those ones with the fixed window, because you can see there was a nice savings on those. It is
Right.
limited, but they do have sailings. You have to book pretty far out because they only allow maybe 2 or 3 bookings on each sailing to have the no single supplement.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. I do want you to know that we do cruises, we do family
No more
vacations, we do a
questions,
lot
so-
of groups. Oh, do we have some more questions? Let me go back. Okay, I can't see anybody. It's because I'm in the screen share mode.
Yeah,
So
so
do we
Roger
have a
does.
couple?
Roger, you're gonna have to unmute yourself though. Unfortunately, they don't give me the power to unmute. If you're on your computer, you can just hold the space bar
There.
down and talk. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yep,
can hear you
gotcha.
now.
Okay. Hey, I was looking at your balconies there and it has like P, A, and B. What's
Yes.
the difference?
Okay, so the Ps are on deck 3, so they're on the top deck. They're the same panoramic 200 square foot balcony. The As and Bs are on deck 2. Again, the same panoramic balcony. They're all exactly the same. The 200 square feet, the extra large bathroom. It's just the what deck they're on. Deck 3 maybe is considered a little better because you're higher up. Deck 2 is just priced a little bit lower. And the ones down on deck 1 are the ones that don't have the panoramic balcony. So P, A, and B are all the ones you saw in the video.
So it's just like P, A, B like that.
Yeah. Let me go back and
P,
let me go back. Okay, so a P is the panoramic balcony on deck 3. A and B are the panoramic open air balconies on deck 2, and D
so
and
the
E
A's
are down on deck
would
1.
be towards the middle of deck 2, and the B's would be towards the back of deck 2.
Towards the
rear-
back. Yeah, the
after
A's are the
ship.
middle and the front. Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, this is Mary. I think what might be confusing is that piece looks like panoramic. So I
Yeah,
wasn't sure either.
Yeah, it is a little confusing, but they are all the and then our descriptions, our system doesn't know how to handle a panoramic open air French balcony, so it just calls it an outside balcony. But it is, it's outside of the ship and it has a balcony, but it's
If
the
you do want, they
panoramic
do
French
have
balcony.
two suites on these ships also.
Yeah, they do.
Group,
Yeah,
but
I'm just going back to show the cabins. Hang on.
what do they call them, royal suite or something? There's 2 of them.
Yes. So there's 2 royal suites that are a little bit bigger. They're 300 square feet. It's like they took one of these cabins and did it 1.5 times. So it has a little bit larger sitting area. There's only 2 of those per ship. And those usually, if you want one of those, you need to book early because there's only 2. We've sold both of them for the Burgundy and Provence. I have my people in both of them. So,
Suzanne,
right,
it's Mary. Mary, I have a
Hey.
question. You
Okay.
were talking about Castles Vineyards. That one you said fall of 2024. Did I miss an exact date, or do you have it?
Yeah,
yet?
let me scroll to it and get that for you.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a way to like go fast forward, so I just have to go through them.
Right there.
Or
Oh,
maybe Steve knows it.
stop,
Oh
you
wait,
passed
I
it.
skipped it. There we go.
One more, keep going.
One more. There we go.
Right there.
So September 18th.
September 18th.
Got it. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
again, that's
and-
another one that there's other dates that they have cruises that does the same itinerary. This is just the one that we've got the special group pricing on that we're escorting.
That's a lovely itinerary. I mean, it's just I like it because it's you get a lot of time in port because you're not covering a huge expanse of the river. So longer times in port, some days like you start in Luxembourg and then you go to Trier. So you get to see 2 cities in one day. Very,
You
very nice
actually,
itinerary.
and you actually experience 3 rivers here. You'll start on the Moselle, you will get on the Rhine very shortly, and then you'll end up on the Main when you go to Frankfurt.
Yeah, Koblenz is the confluence of the Rhine. So if the Rhine would go up
Rhine
this
and
way,
Moselle, yeah.
Moselle here, and then you go to Rhine, and then I think it's in somewhere along here.
Probably
You get on
Rudesheim. I think it's Rudesheim.
you get on the Main River, Rudesheim. So actually, it is 3 rivers. We call it the Moselle because most of the time it's on the Moselle. And there's not a lot of river cruises that actually do the Moselle. We hear the Rhine, the Danube, but the Moselle is definitely one of the most beautiful rivers, and very, very unique. All right, any other questions? Well, I'm just gonna scroll back to my ending slide. And thank you. Thank you very much for attending. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all of you.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording too.
Yeah, we'll stop the recording.